Hi, I'm Sabrisha Langham, and today I'll be discussing ethics and law in business communication. Before I begin, I'll give a brief overview of business communication, then I'll talk about its importance and why it's significant in regards to stakeholders and the various channels and outlets used in business communication. So, what is business communication? Business communication is all communication activity that helps an organization achieve its strategic goals. Business communication is the specific way of explaining an organization's and organizational processes. It is inclusive to internal and external communications. It establishes brand identity, it establishes company culture, it educates about products and services, it informs investors, it reports corporate social responsibility efforts, encourages and motivates employees, provides transparency to public and government, and defines relationships with suppliers and partners. Business communication is necessary for any organization or business to thrive and be successful, no matter what industry that business or organization is in. An important takeaway is that business communication is what helps to establish a corporate reputation. So, why is business communication important? Business communication is important because it establishes an organization's corporate reputation. A corporate reputation can be viewed as an asset for an organization. It is something of value and significance that can function as an intangible resource and economic asset. Business communication can persuade consumers to purchase goods and services from a specific business, and it also helps organizations establish credibility. So, an example, Google has a reputation for providing consumers with accurate and relevant information as quickly as possible. This is, in part, due to the data that it is able to collect about people who use the internet. While some view this as a privacy issue, this has become the aspect of Google that advertisers love. While there are some ethical questions regarding the collection of data and how it is used, Google still maintains a decent corporate reputation among many of its stakeholders. Thus, how it communicates its innovations, how it communicates its plans to address consumer privacy issues, as well as how it plans to increase shareholder wealth are all ways in which business communication affect its corporate reputation. Business communication is also important because, in addition to legal and economic responsibilities, organizations also have ethical, philanthropic, and other social responsibilities. These responsibilities must be communicated to the public and the media. Also, business communication is used to ensure ethical issues do not get out of control, are attended to, and reported so as to not lead to more serious consequences or huge costs for organizations. Ethical standards and expectations must also be communicated internally to employees to help establish and maintain an ethical culture. Think about the Enron scandal. Enron Corporation filed for bankruptcy due to recurring instances of accounting fraud. Many who study the scandal and analyze the fall of Enron attribute it partly to the company culture, which lacked a strong ethical foundation. If ethical standards and expectations are not properly communicated internally, unethical behavior can occur. In the case of Enron, it did. Many people lost jobs, the company had huge fines to pay, and leadership received prison sentences. Business communication is pertinent in preventing situations just like these. Now I will discuss why business communication is significant in regards to stakeholders. Cees Van Ryle, known for work in corporate communication and reputation management, identifies 3 subcategories under business communication. Those are marketing communication, management communication, and organizational communication. As you can see, each subcategory deals with a different stakeholder, which we will discuss moving forward. Marketing communication includes communication activities that support the sale or promotion of goods and services. A key word to discuss when talking about marketing communication is marketing fraud, which is the process of dishonestly creating, distributing, promoting, and pricing products. Marketing fraud can generate potential ethical issues. Advertising is a major part of marketing communication. An advertisement is a paid-for, product-related message through the mass media by an identified sponsor. The Federal Trade Commission Act addresses deceptive advertising laws, which should be understood when creating marketing communication. Puffery is defined as an exaggerated advertising, blustering, and boasting upon which a reasonable buyer would rely upon and is not actionable under the Lanham Act. The Lanham Act protects and regulates brand names as well. The FTC regulates advertisements to ensure that this does not happen and that the proper consequences ensue in the event that it does. Businesses also need protection to remain competitive, thus we have the Lanham Act. Brand names are established through consistent business communication, so protecting and regulating the use of brand names is necessary. It is important for marketing communication to be familiar with the laws before distributing communication content. Not only does it protect the organizations and businesses, it also protects consumers. Management communication is communication from senior management to internal and external groups. It develops a common vision for the company and establishes and maintains confidence in leadership, implements and manages change processes, empowers and motivates employees. It also can be observed as the reason for how ethics and values are handled. Management communication also provides a basis for communication for the adjustment of corporate values and cultural principles. Howard Schultz, the chairman and CEO of Starbucks, led Starbucks in the direction of a company that prioritizes social responsibility. Its mission, found on Starbucks.com, is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. The company provides employees with guiding principles, the mission statement, and comment cards for feedback during orientation. This demonstrates the strategic use of business communication internally to shape the company culture into one that is ethical. Organizational communication focuses on stakeholders that are not consumers. Investor relations, government relations, media relations, and public relations would benefit immensely from organizational communication. Organizational communication has a long-term perspective and does not focus directly on generating sales. The Securities and Exchange Commission deals with how, when, and to what extent financial affairs are communicated to investors. So this government entity would determine whether or not some financial information would need to be disclosed. The stakeholders that are affected by organizational communication would want that organization to make sure that it is meeting the SEC rules and regulations. SOX is another law that requires greater financial transparency and accountability on part of corporations. This law came about after the Enron scandal, and it should be understood that because that organization was one where accounting fraud happened and there were misrepresentations in its financial reports, that's why this kind of law is needed to make sure that organizations are being truthful in their financial reportings. Now I'll discuss business communication channels. I've already mentioned that advertisements are a major part of business communication. Well, so is email marketing, blogs, social media, newsletters, code of ethics, mission statements, employee handbooks, websites, and financial reports, just to name a few. Basically, any medium used to communicate information to stakeholders so as to achieve strategic goals is a business communication channel. In today's digital age, social media is increasingly used among organizations. There are some positives and negatives regarding social media. Social media benefits include blogs and content communities. They both provide opportunities for organizations to establish themselves as experts, as well as interact with consumers and clients so as to better understand their wants and needs. However, on the negative side, since social media allows for information and news to be shared so quickly, any kind of legal or ethical trouble can spread more quickly, creating a larger crisis. Also, there are times where an employee may voice his or her views on social media, and if negative, can serve as a poor reflection of the company. In regards to the latter, this also becomes an issue of whether or not it violates the employee's First Amendment right to freedom of speech. So as you can see, business communication can cause some ethical issues that must be considered when giving out information, as well as when hiring individuals who use social media for personal reasons as well. To conclude, business communication will continue to be an important aspect of business operations simply because it provides a tool to help an organization develop and maintain the best corporate reputation. A good corporate reputation is not only important for consumers and investors, it's also important for employees and communities in which businesses operate. Companies must use strategic communication when hiring employees to ensure ethical, diverse, and professional workplaces. Then communicate to the public how it is maintaining an ethical work environment. Companies must use persuasive communication to sell goods and services. Successful business communication in this regard will also develop brand loyalty. Lastly, maintaining transparency is something that cannot be achieved without strategic business communication. Businesses must know how to and when and to what extent to provide financial information and corporate social responsibility information, as well as know to which stakeholders this information matters most. A company that can succeed in its use of business communication will avoid ethical scrutiny and legal trouble, and more importantly, thrive in the community in which it exists. I hope that you have found this information helpful and now have a better understanding of business communications and how ethics and law play a role in its distribution. Thank you so much for watching my presentation and have a good day.